Welcome to this lesson dedicated to an absolutely mesmerizing piece by Robert Schumann, Träumerei. Unfortunately, this piece is a bit more tricky than it seems and stumbles a lot of learners. That's why in this lesson, in the first half of this video, I'm going to explain you a little bit about its musical language in order to memorize this piece faster. We will be analyzing a score a little bit so you can learn it faster. And in the second part of this video, we'll be speaking about interpretation and different interpretational options. So from the very beginning, we have to realize that we are in F major. So F major chord is our tonic. Our subdominant would be B flat major and our dominant would be C major. So these three chords are very important for us for this piece, and we have to be able to quickly recognize them because we will meet them a lot in this piece, and if we can recognize them, we can understand what's going on better. So the first bar, all that is just an F major pattern with just one dissonant note, one dissonant key, E. E is the leading tone that goes to F, and then we have same F major pattern. And then we arrive to B flat major, which is our subdominant, and this is what you have in the left hand. This white chord is just a wide version of B flat major. Yeah? This is a compact root version. This is a wider version, wider disposition of this chord. And F is also a harmonic sound of B flat major, so we arrive to a subdominant. And then parallel motion in hands. And in bar 3, we arrive to tonic again. This is our F major chord. Again, in a wider version, in a wider disposition, but already on a dominant bass. Because on the second beat, we arrive to C major 7th, to our dominant 7th chord. Then, as you see, contrary motions in upper voices in each hand, while holding lower voices. And this piece is very polyphonic. For example, in the beginning, you might ask, why do we have this uncomfortable wide chord in the left hand and crossing the thumbs with the right hand and stuff? This is because Schumann was not writing, let's say, pianistically this piece, but rather polyphonically. And if we would think in layers, or if we would think in different orchestra groups, if we would orchestrate this piece, then we would orchestrate it in the next way. The principal melody would be played, for example, by a solo violin, let's say, or maybe solo viola, and this bass, this deep bass, would be played by, let's say, a contrabass. This fifth would be played by, for example, wind instruments like clarinetti, so two clarinetti are playing this fifth very quietly, and that sixth would be played by, for example, duo of horns, for instance. And thus we would have these two intervals that regarding pitches, they kind of overlap, but they would have different color because that fifth would be played by one group of instruments and that sixth would be played by another group of instruments. And this is important to consider when we will be discussing interpretation further on. But if you have any troubles holding that chord, of course you can redistribute things, as many people do, playing this chord in a more comfortable way. So we arrive to bar 3, dominant 7th chord, and then we have a beautiful progression in the left hand, which is called a horn fifth. And this is a very, very common motif for classical music. In Slavic languages, we call it rather as a golden horn motif. I would translate it like that, and it has this word golden, which I really like because it makes it sound like very noble and kind of royalish. And this is a very common motif, for example, in Haydn's Symphony number 103, in its final movement. And yes, he has composed 102 symphonies before that one. That's correct. And in the final of that symphony, number 103, we have such beginning, such entrance. So we have that progression played by horns, actually. Yeah? So this is a very typical motif that we encounter in many pieces. And in the right hand, we also have a progression. We accomplish that motif with progression of 3 chords. So we have F major, C major, F major. And in the right hand, I would suggest you to break that into 2 pairs. So you play that in bar 3, 4th beat. 1, 3, 2, 4. Then hold C, release the hand. Another pair for 2 and 5. No physical legato. You will connect that with pedal. Release, another pair like that. And in the left hand, 5, 2, 1, 4, 1, 2. This is 1 position. So 2 positions in the right hand and 1 position in the left hand. And ending up with dominant chord, C major. And you play that chord quietly, but then you mark the beginning of the solo voice in the left hand. So you mark that D a little bit. Imagine that this motif starts from D. Like that. And since we have confirmed dominant, because we have already had dominant 7th chord in the 3rd bar, tonic, dominant, tonic, and then we confirm the dominant another time in bar 4, so we feel that this phrase is going to end and we start a new one. If you enjoyed this lesson, please follow the link below for the full 40-minute lesson on this piece.